Spring into Creative Industries Month is supported by the Department of Communities and Northern Ireland Screen, and we are very grateful for their support. So each panelist will give a 10-minute talk on the types of support they have been offering and can continue to offer to people working in the screen industry during the pandemic. For example, funding, resources, opportunities to show work, information and peer support, etc. So we have Andrew Reid from NI Screen, Head of Production from NI Screen. And then we have from Manager of Film Hub NI, Hugh Odling-Smee, who will also be presenting with Sara Gunn-Smith, who is the Marketing and Audiences Development Officer at Film Hub NI. Then finally, our third presentation will be Roisin, Geraghty and Stuart Sloan. And Roisin is a film programmer and producer, and Stuart Sloan is the documentary programmer from Belfast Film Festival and also an editor. And they'll also be talking about Docs Ireland as well. So without further ado, I don't see any questions yet, but please be ready with your questions. We're going to hand over to our first speaker, who is Andrew Reid from NI Screen. Take it away, Andrew. Sorry, I'll give you a wee introduction. Andrew, just to give you a bit of context, as head of production, Andrew is responsible for the investment of Northern Ireland Screen's 13 million annual development, production and skills funds. He oversees the delivery of physical production, project development, new and emerging talent and skills development schemes. So go ahead, Andrew. Thank you.
Good morning, and thanks, Rory. So you're going to find out very quickly why, even pre-pandemic, they didn't really let me out kind of about much. So I apologize, I'm probably going to bore you quite a bit, but I've got a few slides that I need to rattle through. But any questions, obviously, please send them to Rory, and obviously I will answer them whenever it is deemed appropriate. So first things first, you need to know about Northern Ireland Screen is that we combine the three strands of strategy together. So we have the economic, the educational, and the cultural, and we are here to bring those benefits to Northern Ireland, to the people of Northern Ireland from the screen industry. So we draw the economic, creating jobs. We're trying to bring across the education through our schools and through our higher education system, the joy and the value of the screen industry, and building that into culture. So helping people build those audiences and read and understand film and television and all screen content, including games. So that's. We are somewhat unique in that you will go around the UK, go around the world, and you will have one agency does economic, one agency does educational, one agency does cultural. In Northern Ireland, we try and bring them all together into one coherent strategy so that we can benefit in a stronger and better way. So Northern Ireland Screen is a small-ish organisation, 29 people. So in our last strategy, we were given £43 million, and effectively, because I handle the economic side of things more than anything else, we look at the value. So we were given £43 million, and effectively we were told to return 250 million. We exceeded that target, we're happy to say. And but that's what we try to do. We take public money and try and generate greater benefit for the people of Northern Ireland. So production. My role is to deliver that economic strategy, and that comes across physical production, the incentives that we put out, but also then skills and new and emerging talent. And effectively, skills and new and emerging talent are where we're going to talk today. We'll talk briefly about incentives, a little bit about physical production, particularly about the benefits that we try to draw from that. So without further ado, okay, we're going to talk briefly about incentives. I promise you that now. But when we award money to a project, be that incoming or indigenous, we are tasked with getting what is called direct Northern Ireland spend. So this is the definition of direct Northern Ireland spend, and it's about getting the value for the people of Northern Ireland. And when we invest our money, we invest across these what we call sectoral priorities. So this is large scale. So Game of Thrones would be the poster child of that, or Dungeons and Dragons and The School for Good and Evil, which are currently in prep in Northern Ireland. Then we have television drama, of course, and children's television, independent film and feature documentary, factual entertainment, down to sort of interactive and game. And when we invest in these areas, we look for the economic returns, but also the skills returns and what we call the continuous professional development returns. So again, when somebody comes looking for money from Northern Ireland Screen, these are the three things that we are trying to meld together. Yes, is there a direct spend? What training opportunities are there, and how does this project, or how will that work within our training objectives, and how can we enhance the careers of the established screen workers already in Northern Ireland? What are the opportunities that each project will give to us on that? So moving very quickly onto skills. Again, remember, we blend that economic, educational, cultural. So when we're looking at skills opportunity, we're looking at how we can blend those three things together. And uniquely in Northern Ireland, that allows us to get a bit philosophical and ask questions like, where do skills start? And because we fund across the cultural, education, and economic, you know, we have a skills strategy in Northern Ireland, and again, I would say uniquely around the world, that starts at 4 years old with the work of Cinemagic. You know, so you know, the Cinemagic and other festivals and their dealings with young people, children and young people, is hugely important in the start of that skills agenda. And then, of course, we have the creative learning centres who work across the education of young people aged sort of 5 to 18, up to then the moving image arts qualifications at 15 to 18. Our ScreenWorks programme, which is effectively the way of giving people genuine experience of working, or you know, genuine work experience, and learning from practitioners how to not only get into the screen industry, but how to do a specific job within the screen industry. And then from that, so you've gone through the culture, gone through the educational, and then frankly, at the point that people leave school, that's where our sort of economic skills agenda kicks in, and that's at the point where sort of myself and my colleagues in the skills department would start to work with it. So each year we have a budget of over £800,000. Northern Screen directly employs somewhere, it depends, it fluctuates on the year, but somewhere between 80 and 105 trainees are directly employed by Northern Ireland Screen, and they are placed on projects that are funded by Northern Ireland Screen. So this is our list of sort of skills activities. Pixel Mill, for those of you who are getting sort of interested in games and interactive, is a physical building, but we're also starting to look at ways of you know, through the pandemic actually has opened up our ability to engage with people around Northern Ireland who want to work in all of these areas. Obviously, there's sort of a range of activities that are really there, all of which are advertised on our website and are open to anybody who wishes to apply. In new and emerging talent, this is where we work with writers, directors, and producers, or aspiring writers, directors, and producers, particularly. So there's a number of ways we do that. So it's a twin track approach. So you know, sort of when we're looking at our economic strategy, incoming productions have a much higher ratio of return. So if somebody comes to us who's an incoming producer, comes to us, we will ask them to spend more money in Northern Ireland. We'll put a much higher bar on the money that they have to spend. When it's an Indigenous production, then we lower the bar, but the requirements for skills, training, and working with Indigenous talent is much higher. We would expect the Indigenous projects to have writer, director, producer attachments and so forth. So games and interactive strategy. These are the skills programs that are available in interactive games and interactive. And obviously up in Derry, so we work very closely with our friends up in Hypixel Studios on their Hightail project. Short film initiatives. So we work with the BBC, with the Scottish Documentary Institute on Bridging the Gap, with Channel 4 on Random Acts. But there's also then, we obviously, again, watching our website, we will open up our new shorts focus project, our creative animation, which we run with the animation studios in Northern Ireland. Short film course, Breaking In, which is a mentoring scheme and a director shadowing, producer shadowing scheme, and they're funded with ourselves and BFI. Writers specifically then have a number of initiatives that we're on. So RTE and Storyland is an absolutely superb opportunity for anybody who wants to be a writer in particularly in television drama. New Writer Focus is probably one of the only sort of open script calls that's left in the UK. It used to be that pretty much everybody had an open script call in the UK. Now it's pretty much come down to us having pretty much in, and we get over 100 entries every year. We read every one of them, and we select. Usually comes down to somewhere between 3 and 6 people for a writer's room. Obviously, then we have additional script development and ongoing development seminars throughout the year. So all of this builds up. We're drawing, particularly in the scripted world, we're drawing through to what we call New Talent Focus. A New Talent Focus is one fully funded feature film. When I say fully funded, we put in the majority of funding, then there's a tax credit, and we have post deals as well to help them. But effectively, when we say yes to a New Talent project, it will happen because we are driving it to happen. We're not waiting for other finance to come in. So we started this in 2007. We have 14 projects that have gone through this, 12 of which are feature films, 2 are television drama. At the minute, the budget is around about £366,000. I say around about. We have a sort of fixed amount that we put in, but then there's tax credits and there's the post deal that goes on. And they're Northern Ireland writer, director, producer projects. So they're about developing specifically those talents. Although we do encourage all of those projects to then use to step up talented HODs. So somebody, a new director of photography, a new sound recordist, new editors, people like that. So we try and spread the love of that of those opportunities as far and wide. New Talent Focus has been supported over the years. We've had Film 4, BBC, Netflix taking it. We've won at Galway. They've been out to Sundance and TIFF. They've won AFTAs, IFTAs, BAFTAs, and BIFFAs. And the one that's probably most relevant to Derry, I suppose, is the last one that was released. We've done 2 since then, but unfortunately the pandemic has affected our ability to release well, one is only just finishing. And the one that was made last year, Black Medicine, still haven't been released because we just didn't have the festival program or opportunities that we normally do. But a bump along the way was our New Talent Focus feature from, and I'm going to get the year wrong now, 2018. It was made in 2018, released in 2019. But it had a 31-screen theatrical release, which for a small independent film with almost no budget, it's pretty good going, and it was an absolutely excellent film, and it did superbly well for the creative team. We make these films, we fund these films. We don't make anything. We fund these films to give people a platform, to give them the credibility that they are, and so far they work very, very well. In fact, last year's project, Black Medicine, although has only been seen by a few people, has resulted in the director Colin Eastwood being sort of being one of Screen International's sort of ones to watch, or rising stars, and has also he's had several offers of sort of directing gigs on the back of it. So that's what really. That's what we want to get out of this. We want people to launch their careers. We want to give people the opportunity and create that credibility around them. Appreciate that I'm probably now running out of time, but I want to briefly talk about physical production and actually the crew opportunities. Effectively, again, to go back, we have this, the expected returns of all of our investments are, yes, of course, we want the money into the Northern Ireland economy. We want to obviously develop skills and give skills, but also we want to champion existing crew and give them the opportunities to take on more leading roles and step up into more senior leadership roles. And sorry, I have to say, unfortunately, I think that is, or rather, fortunately for you, I have to say, I think that is me done. Bit over time. Sorry about that, Rory. I still 2 minutes to somebody's time.
That's fine. That's fine. I didn't have to show you the timer, so that's grand. Thank you very much, Andrew. If you've just joined us, thank you for joining us. We've just had Andrew from NI Screen's presentation, and so we have the Q&A open, ready for your questions. If you have any questions for Andrew, please put them in the Q&A box, just down at the very bottom on the right at your panel there at the bottom. So I'll just spotlight myself. Okay, so thank you very much. We will move on now to our second panelists. So we have Roisin Geraghty and Stuart Sloan from Belfast Film Festival. So if you would like to unmute yourselves, guys, and I will unspotlight myself. Oh, that's Andrew spotlighted again. Can we spotlight the next panelists, Roisin and Stuart? Let me see. Roisin and Stuart. Oh, that's Andrew again. I think we're all used to this now. Roisin. Let's go with Roisin. Everyone can see Roisin? Hello, Roisin.
Hello.
And if you want to go ahead, thank you very much.
Sure, no problem at all. My name is Roisin Geraghty, and I run the industry part of the Docs Ireland Festival, which is the sister festival of the Belfast Film Festival, which was started by the team there in 2019. And we had a really, really successful first edition in Belfast in June 2019, and it was a real triumph. We loved it. Unfortunately, in 2020, due to COVID, we had to move things online. So we held like quite a scaled down version of Docs Ireland, just with a few industry opportunities and a public programme that Stuart programmed. But we're back now for 2021, and we are hosting an online industry only programme in June for Docs Ireland. So we've quite a number of opportunities available with that that I was going to discuss with you. I don't have a presentation for you because I was going to show you our new our website, but actually we're developing a very shiny new website which will be launched in the coming weeks. So I kind of felt it might be better for so you can see that, because it's going to be lovely and everything will be outlined there. But if anyone has any questions for me afterwards, I'd be happy to give my email if anything comes up after our conversation. But so the main things that I want to speak about before I pass you over to Stuart is about the Docs Ireland Marketplace, our Ignite Talent Development Programme, the Northern Ireland Screen Pitch, which we work on with Andrew and the team at NI Screen, and then our wider industry programme. So as I said, we're going to be announcing the programme for this online industry programme from the 16th. Which is taking place from the 16th to the 20th of June. We'll be announcing that in late April. But there are opportunities available online and different things that you can apply for. So the big one, I guess, is the Docs Ireland Marketplace, which took place in person physically in the Europa Hotel in Belfast in 2019, and we had a really successful first event. We brought together like big sales agents, distributors, funders, broadcasters from Ireland, the UK, and internationally, people like Dogwolf, Storyville, PBS, CAA, Channel 4, lots of different organizations. And we had, I think, 25 Irish, UK, and international projects which came to the first marketplace. So we're moving all of that online for this year, and the applications are now open on our website. So currently you can get all of the information on the Docs Ireland Festival through the Belfast Film Festival website, which is belfastfilmfestival.org/Docs Ireland. But as I said, in the coming weeks, we will have a new Docs Ireland website. But the applications for the market are currently open through that website. We're open to emerging and established filmmakers who are working on feature documentary or televisual content at any stage of production, just as long as they're ready to go to market. Full details are on the website, and the application deadline for that is the 18th of April, and we'll be announcing the decision makers for the market in the coming weeks. So yeah, that's definitely something you should look out for. Something else that we just announced that will be a part of the Docs Ireland Festival online in June is the Northern Ireland Screen Pitch, which is a great initiative that Andrew works on with us, which is for, again, for emerging and established documentary filmmaking talent. It gives them the opportunity to pitch a feature doc idea, and then we usually pick 6 projects to pitch, and then one of those projects will win up to £7,500 of development funding from Northern Ireland Screen, which is really, really brilliant. We also started a new initiative in 2020 called Ignite, which is a documentary talent development program, and it's a cross-border partnership with the Cork Film Festival. So it's for emerging doc filmmakers that are working on their first or second feature documentary. It's a project-led program, and it's a long-term engagement with the filmmakers involved. So we're currently in our first run of Ignite, and it's going really, really well. We've got 6 documentary projects from north and south of Ireland, and the filmmakers involved are currently in the middle of training and development sessions on financing, sales and distribution, marketing, co-production, and navigating the documentary marketplace. They will be visiting, well, they won't physically be visiting, but they'll be attending the Hot Docs Festival, and they've had various conversations with doc filmmakers like Kim Longinotto, Tygo Sullivan, Emer Reynolds. So it's a really exciting program that we're really proud of, but we will be launching the applications for the second year of Ignite at the festival in June. So you can keep an eye out for that if you are an emerging doc filmmaker working on your first or second feature. And then finally, just to mention that we will be announcing the full program for the industry edition in late April online, but just to give you an idea of the kind of things that we will be focusing on at that festival is we're going to have a focus on audio documentary and archival doc film, which is very COVID friendly, as well as many other sessions that are targeted towards emerging and established filmmakers, but just talent development across the board. So I guess that's a lot to take in, but all of the information is on our website, and I'll pass over to Stuart, who will be able to give you more information on submissions and exhibition. Thank you.
Thanks, Roisin. And just to mention, if maybe Roisin didn't, the current website we're using for all these submissions is belfastfilmfestival.org, but the shiny new website that's specific to the doc section is docsireland.ie, which will be live late April, early May, but just keep an eye on our social media or belfastfilmfestival.org, and we'll announce all that. So just to mention then, so I see things are still up in the air about when cinemas are opening. So we are currently planning to do our Docs Ireland Festival, which is normally in June, in August this year, late August. So that'll be the Doc Festival, and then the Belfast Film Festival, which focuses mostly on fiction films, will be November. But obviously, whatever restrictions are in place that month or those months before or after will depend. So we might well do online things, or at least a combination of both. We also have lots of exciting plans to do outdoor screenings across the country in the summer. So hopefully that will be able to be progressed too, but who knows? Who knows? So I just wanted to talk about the submissions that are open now. For all types of filmmakers for Docs Ireland. So if you go to filmfreeway.com/Docs Ireland, that's where all our submissions can be put through. And so we have 4 different sections that are available to Irish filmmakers. So first of all, we have the Irish feature doc section. So that's any film over an hour that's been made in the last year and a half. And due to obviously the crazy year that's just happened, we're actually going to be a bit more flexible about that. So if any films are a wee bit older and haven't screened with us before, we're happy to take that submission. The next section is the short section, which is any film under 20 minutes long. And again, we're going to be quite flexible with when it was made. So probably within the last year and a half, we're going to be open to. Another new section we're doing is a young filmmaker competition. So that's for any filmmaker 21 or under. And the film was 5 minutes or shorter. And that's actually free to enter as well. So anyone who wants to submit that film on Film Freeway, please do. And we're going to screen them hopefully in cinemas in August. So that's quite exciting. And then the last section I want to mention is we actually have a VR section. So any kind of virtual reality or augmented reality or any kind of new version of film, we're going to be showcasing them in August too, just like we did in June of 2019, and that was always very interesting and very exciting, different types of films. So you can submit them through the website, or if you have any questions or ways to submit it, you can email me at Stuart, Stuart at docsireland.ie, and Roisin is the same, Roisin at docsireland.ie. So if you have any questions or films, please put them through to us on that. And then the last thing I want to mention as well is we're, as part of our archive industry program in June, we're going to do a call out for archive-based films, and that's we're doing a panel with Make Film History, which is like an archive kind of research charity, who are going to be putting a lot of Northern Irish archive from Northern Ireland Screen and the Digital Film Archive up for free. So kind of younger filmmakers and student filmmakers can make a film with this free archive, and then we're going to be showing the best ones in August. So keep an eye out in our archive program in June online, where you can find information about how to get access to that archive, and then also then submit it to us once you're done. And I think that's us.
That's great. Thank you very much, Stuart. As an editor who spent most of the past year looking through my own archive and making mostly archival films for my clients, I'm not sure whether that archive thing is good for me, but some fantastic opportunities. Thank you very much. If you've just joined us, our numbers are going up, people. Thank you very much for coming in. Please submit your Q&A questions. We already have some questions in there. If at the very bottom of the screen, if you just put your mouse over the bottom panel, you'll see the Q&A, and it's just in between the raise hand and the leave button. So press that one in the middle and not the one on the right. Thank you very much. That would be great. Okay, so thank you very much to our panelists so far. Next, we're going to have Hugh Odling-Smee, who is manager of Film Hub NI, responsible for strategy, partnership, and funding development. So thank you very much. Take it away, Hugh. Can everyone see the presentation? Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
I think we might have a wee bit of a...
Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you fine. Yeah, maybe we'll just turn off your video because we can see your presentation okay, Stuart.
Yeah,
so
turn me
is
off.
that okay? I'll turn off your video and then we'll see your presentation. Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, whilst we are very much in the 21st century, my internet connection is from 1999. Which is a little has been a little annoying in the Zoom time. So thank you, everybody. My name's Hugh, and I'm also joined by Sara Gunn-Smith, who is there as well. Hello, Sara. Can you say hello?
Hello, everyone.
And we're going to share this presentation across. So we are Film Hub NI, and Sara, do you want to do the next one? Yeah. So we're part of the BFI Film Audience Network, which is a network of 8 hubs right across the UK, who essentially our objective is to get more people to watch more films in more places, to put it very simply, although it's slightly more complicated than that. It was created in 2012 by the BFI, and the idea was to build audiences for independent cinema across the UK. And the BFI, in a rare, humble decision by a large-scale institution, decided that they didn't know that much about the north of Scotland, and they didn't know that much about Northern Ireland, or Wales, or indeed the north of England, or indeed the south of England, not having, being based in North London. So their idea was to devolve power and to fund development and initiatives that would develop audiences, new audiences, and diverse audiences, and that's particularly important for independent cinema across the UK. So we've been working now for almost 9 years, and we have a wide range of network partners, including Northern Ireland Screen, and including organisations down south as well. And I think that the essential idea is what we've tried to do is empower venues and individuals to engage and develop film culture in Northern Ireland, to screen films where they feel that there is an audience for them. And there's a little quote there. So it's giving venues like ours to confidence in experimenting with different approaches to audience development. So it's about empowering venues and empowering our members, which I'll go on to in a minute, to engage more broadly with a wider palette of films, and that improves audiences' lives. Do you want to do the next slide? Oh, thanks, Sarah. So these are the sort of strategic objectives of where the Film Hub is at the moment. This is quite a long list, so bear with me. Young audiences are extremely important. It has been shown over the last 10 to 15 years, really, that young audiences for live cinema have been dropping off. It was a scary 14% drop off in 5 years that the BFI pinpointed. And so young audiences is part of our focus. So we've worked with organizations like the Nerve Centre, with Cinemagic, to engage young audiences directly. And one of the ways that we've been really interested in doing this is through kind of creating platforms where young audiences can program, show films that they're interested in, gather together in a sort of community to learn more about film culture and to learn more about the pleasure of showing films to other people. So those would be the ones to watch at the Nerve Centre would be a good example of that, or Lumi at QFT, so we've supported them. To build larger, more confident audiences, at Root, we're also about getting bums on seats and getting people to go and watch films. And so year on year, we've grown audiences for independent cinema in Northern Ireland and right across the UK with our fan colleagues. Increased opportunities for engagement with screen heritage. So we've supported a number of different archive initiatives that are screening in public, in live to audiences for archive. For example, working with Stuart and Belfast Film Festival on a project around housing, an archive film about housing in Northern Ireland, which was very successful last year, maybe the year before. I've sort of lost slight tether on time. To ensure diversity and inclusion, now that's very important in the sense that there is a feeling that there are a lot of audience groups and society groups who don't get access to independent cinema, that to a certain extent independent cinema is for white middle class people only. And that's something that the FAN have attempted to really challenge. So that's working with Black-led organisations, that's working and supporting organisations in disadvantaged areas, or organisations who are working directly with disabled audiences and so on. It's about increasing access to independent cinema. We believe independent cinema is amazing, and the widest possible audiences can engage with it. We do large-scale audience initiatives that are right across the UK. So these are called either blockbusters or
major programs.
Major programs, thank you, Sarah. Major programs that are run by our colleagues in Film Hub Midlands, and those push out right across the whole of the UK. The last one about 2 years ago, pre-pandemic, was around musicals. So the BFI in London showed a lot of films, classic musicals, And then right across the country, the same initiative was done. It's all done over a month. So Belfast Film Festival, the Nerve Centre, QFT, all these organisations showed films in various interesting ways. For example, Belfast Film Festival did nautical musicals on a boat, which doesn't get more exciting, I don't think. To develop links between the region and wider UK. So a lot of our work is about building capacity and skills sets within the exhibition sector, within the screening of films. So we've supported a lot of people with bursaries about professional development and how their career can work, but also importantly developing networks and knowledge and information being shared between programmers and venues and producers across the whole of the UK with people in Northern Ireland, and that has been demonstrably a good thing that we have done. And finally, just to develop and support the infrastructure and sectoral development across the region. So, for example, today we are launching a series of podcasts that were supported by Northern Ireland Screen, and those are in training for our members, developing their strengths and skills in online screening. We recognise that the pandemic has really changed exhibition and the nature of it. Screening doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, cinema is dead. In fact, we believe that it definitely doesn't mean that cinema is dead, but it is another string to the bows of venues and organisations. What can online screening do for a cinema? How can it develop its brand? How can it develop new audiences? And how can those new audiences be diverse? So that's the sort of thing that we do. Do you want to do the next one? Yes, and so to select membership, at the moment we have over 100 members, and there's a few examples there. So that gives you a sense of the wide range of different kinds. So you've got the Nerve Centre, you've got Belfast Film Festival, the sort of established venues. You've also got commercial cinemas like Movie House Cinema. You've got Second Chance Cinema, who specialise in archive screening, as talked about earlier. Municipal arts centres, mixed arts centres like the Island Arts Centre in Lisburn, and community cinemas like Portrush and the Picture House, but also new start sort of ideas like Wanda Feminist and Moving Image Film Festival. And they're a good example of an organisation that we gave a kind of early grant to get them up and running, because they were like-minded people who wanted to screen films to new audiences on a specific theme of feminism. And they've been tremendously successful and are starting to develop new partnerships right across Northern Ireland. So now Sarah's going to show you some of the kind of initiatives that we've done.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, we, as Hugh said, exist really to increase and diversify audiences for independent film across Northern Ireland. And we do this through a number of ways. Probably what most people want to hear about is investment. Not always the most important, but it's always the first question people ask us. What we have certain funding schemes that come online usually at the start of each financial year, and that investment is sort of grassroots or seed funding for anybody who wants to start screening films or start a new festival or anything like that, and we can give a bit of support, a bit of a safety net for people, because it's not just as simple as winging on a DVD in a pub, as we say to people several times. There's licensing costs, there's marketing costs, and there's all this stuff. So we're really there to support people as they kind of want to kind of do that. And some examples for you to have a look at would be Newcastle Community Cinema. They've grown quite a lot over the past few years into kind of a part-time venue, and they started off as a small community cinema. Portrush, as you mentioned, Romana Film City, all these little groups that are really, really important in rural areas about bringing great independent cinema to places that are underserved by a multiplex or people can't, it's too far to drive to Belfast. We also support some of the more established organisations with strategic funding, including the Belfast Film Festival every year. And part of what we do as well is we actually deliver key initiatives for audience development for film. And Cinema Day would have been in normal times one of our big flagship projects. And Cinema Day is a day-long celebration of film across Northern Ireland. So we would support from centralized marketing and a bit of licensing money, support our members to show a film. And we've had everything from screenings on HMS Pirates of the Caribbean on HMS Caroline to people's barns and all sorts of things. And we've had really good success with getting audiences, and it's really a chance for us to shout about the strength of the sector. And all the events are free or low cost, so it's very accessible for people, and that's always a lot of fun. So we're hoping maybe not this year, but maybe next year we'll be able to bring that back. Collective, I'll talk about shortly. It's a scheme to bring exhibition production and distribution closer together, and I'll talk about that in a second. Develop the network of exhibitors. As she said, we've got over 100 members, and all very open to collaboration, all very open to working together, and also doing great things on their own. So part of our job is to facilitate that network by communicating opportunities. We have a closed Facebook group, and there's always somebody there who'll offer to help out somebody else. For example, I got a email yesterday for somebody who wants to start a new community cinema in West Belfast, and they want to know what kit to buy. So we were able to put them in touch with organisations that have already been screening to get kind of some best practice ideas about how to do that. We also organise training. Hugh's mentioned the moving pictures, which I'll pick up on again in a wee second. Each year we kind of survey our members and see what are the outstanding training requirements. Do people need Facebook ad training? Do they need training on data? We had an awful year when GDPR was launched, and we ran several GDPR sessions, which was obviously great, but also terrible. So we kind of really are very reactive to what people want in terms of training. So just to pick up again on Collective, one of the audience development initiatives we've had, as Andrew mentioned there, A Bump Along the Way was one of the new talent scheme productions, and was kind of a key title for us to tour as part of this touring scheme. We toured 4 films in 2019, it must be, which were The Dig and A Bump Along the Way, which were from Northern Ireland, and Extraordinary and Gaza from the south. And what we did was we programmed these tours in community venues around Northern Ireland, and we got great success with that. The last screening of A Bump Along the Way was the end of January, just before the pandemic hit. So we had great plans for this year, but we've just put them on hold and hope that we can pick up this touring scheme. And it's been a really good example of how exhibition can work closer with distribution and with talent as well. At every one of those screenings of A Bump Along the Way, for example, we had the producer or the writer, sometimes both of them, so that Hugh and I would do a Q&A with them. And we also had a film introduction from Brona Gallagher, which played at each of the venues. And it's a great way for these venues to kind of be part of a network, and they were all very supportive and kind of promoted the next show, but also to kind of get a bit of a get some of these great titles that maybe wouldn't have had a massive cinema release, to get them out to audiences in those areas. So say we hope to pick that up next year. I'm just going to quickly talk about the Moving Pictures programme. Today is kind of a big day for us, as the press release is ready to go with about the podcasts. Moving Pictures programme, as she mentioned, is an initiative that was very kindly supported by Northern Ireland Screen through Department for Communities, and what it really was a response to a lot of film exhibitors going online, and maybe some smaller groups not really having the technical or kind of vision to see how that would work in their organization. So tomorrow is the last one. We running a series of 9 webinars, and we brought in guests to talk about audience development, about programming, about evaluation, and all these different things. So even if you're a more established exhibitor and you are already doing this, there's stuff there about evaluation or how when we finally come out of this weird situation, how can the online work continue to enhance the offline work that will start to pick up again. So that, as I say, is coming to an end. But today we've just launched a series of 7 podcasts, which are now available on our website and on all popular streaming platforms. And they will cover a lot of the subjects. And we have guests from Belfast Film Festival, from the wider fan, from PFT, and loads of really, really great people talking about different aspects of online work. And actually, there's a bonus podcast on that that's really worth a listen, called See at the Pictures, and it is a recording of an event we ran in February with BBC Digital Cities, and it's basically us with Joan Parsons, who's the head of KFT, with David Frayn, who's a filmmaker who wrote and directed Dating Amber that came out last year, and Patrick O'Neill from Wildcard Distribution, talking about essentially the future of cinema. And it's a very positive listen. If you're feeling down about the state of the industry at any point, have a listen to it, because it'll cheer you up. So yeah, that's all available on our website now. And so that's our website there. You can have a look at that. You follow us on Twitter, and if you want to chat to Hugh or myself, then give us an email or give us a shout on Twitter. So thank you.
Thank you very much to Sarah and to Hugh. Thank you very much for your presentation. So if you have any questions for Sarah and for Hugh, then please put them in the Q&A, and I will just do my spotlighting here and just spotlight myself. Okay, so if you just joined us, the Q&A is just down at the bottom there, and so we have loads of questions so far. But if you have any specific questions for Hugh and for Sarah, please get them into the Q&A as well. So we're going to start our Q&A now. A couple of questions have come in. Thank you very much for those. First one for Andrew. I'm currently a student in McGee Derry, not me, the person. I was a student in McGee Derry years ago, but not now. In my final year of the Cinematic Arts course, what would be the best route to take through NI Screen for a director? Thanks, and that's to Andrew from NI Screen.
Okay, well, all of our schemes are they're designed in a sort of a step model, if you like. But you don't have to start at the beginning and work the way through them. But effectively, so the short film calls would be, if you are a writer, director, and producing your own work, short film calls start with individual awards. Now these are small awards, £2,250. Now that's the maximum that we're allowed to give under lottery rules, that we're allowed to give to individuals. That's why that figure exists. It's not that we've just arbitrarily decided that. The lottery has imposed that upon us. So it starts off with that, and really that they're there to sort of give people who have made so we ask that it's not your first film that you've ever made. We ask for that there be sort of some work, either student work or films that you've made sort of privately, available to view. But then you can apply for an individual award to do something maybe that requires a bit more budget, or that you want to put a bit more time into. And from there, then there are then large awards through companies, and then we have some sort of support through net workshops. We also have New Shorts Focus, which is about developing scripts, writing and developing scripts, and that's where short filmmakers come together in a writer's room and sort of peer review their scripts with Christine, our new and emerging talent coordinator. So that's kind of the first way through. As I was saying before, we are steering talent towards the opportunity of making their first feature. For us, it's all about building credibility. So you do something and it works out well. You do something that builds you up, and we're trying to build up your credibility to the point where the wider industry takes an interest, and hopefully broadcasters and producers and so forth will start to bring investment in your career. And the progression works. Unfortunately, there are only a few opportunities. I have to say there is only one feature opportunity that we're aiming at, and there are, needless to say, an awful lot of people aiming towards that and striving towards that. So the competition is very stiff. But what I would point out, though, is that the opportunities in so in children's television, in working in documentaries, and in other areas as well, it opens it up. So if you just aim solely at I'm going to do a feature film, I'm going to do a feature film, there is really, within Northern Ireland, there is only one fully funded opportunity for that. But there are other opportunities through our mentoring schemes and so forth to get experience on our other in our other projects, such as sort of television drama, children and children's and so forth. So what I would say is sort of, well, I completely understand that people have a vision and that they know what they want to aim for. I would encourage people to look at the full breadth of the screen industries in Northern Ireland and take those take the opportunities to work on in other genres, so that they build up their credibility, and that they build up their experience, and just have a wider breadth of experience as much as possible.
Thank you very much. Andrew, just a couple more questions. Are there any opportunities for emerging animation talent after the Creative Animation Scheme? E.g., are there any director shadowing or break-in programs that are relevant to aspiring animation producers, directors, writers?
Absolutely. I mean, the breaking in is a director shadowing scheme, and that can be across any live action or animation. I mean, that's not a problem at all. So if you want to go for that, sign up for that. Obviously, have a chat with them and make sure that we understand that you are an aspiring animation director. Animation is difficult. The reason why we do creative animation through the studios is because it's a much longer, slower process, and it needs the support of we in the past we have funded animations through Short Film Called, and effectively we broke the animators. I think we possibly lost more animation talent through encouraging them to kind of work on their own, as opposed to the support that the studios can give. And also we want the studios to recognize that there is great creative talent working either within the studios or alongside the studios, and we want those studios to draw in that talent and develop those the IP that can be out there. Sadly, no company can hold on to all of or can create all of the greatest works within in-house. There are people outside of the studios who have great ideas, and we try and encourage that collaboration between them to keep those people working and let them be supported.
Thanks, Andrew. Just one more for you before we move on. Northern Ireland Screen has done and is doing a wonderful job in enticing film and TV productions to film here, which is great news for crew, but we seem to be quite a way behind other places in the UK in the scripted space, especially when compared with more established setup in the unscripted space. What is your plan to support Indigenous companies to create and develop scripted projects? There seems to be a skills gap in script development.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is something that we absolutely agree with that. I mean, the issue comes with one of, so particularly in drama, it's, broadcasters are the gatekeepers to that. And so what we have done is we have already recruited 2 script trainees, if you like, script development trainees. One's working with Element on Conversation with Friends, and the other one's working, and they started several months ago, as when the scripts were being written and the writers' rooms were happening. So one is on Conversation with Friends, which is the follow-up to Normal People, and the other one is working on Hope Street, which is a returning series. Now, Hope Street offers, we hope, I'm going to have to stop saying the word hope, but we intend for Hope Street to be a returning sort of high-volume series for Northern Ireland, and that's why we don't have the same level of script development as other areas. Most other nations and regions, is either within Ireland or within the United Kingdom, there is a strong sort of, if you like, soap culture, which allows you to develop writers, allows you to develop script developing talent. We haven't had that before. So Hope Street is our hope. I'm going to stop saying this. Is our intended route for more script development. So on Hope Street, there's a writers' room. So we have been encouraging the use of Northern Ireland resident writers through that. Plus, then we have this trainee position, and we're hoping that will be year-on-year build. We also, sort of 2 cities, which is Stephen Wright's company, has just had a commission. Well, it's just had a commission. I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but they've had a very strong commission, again, written and produced out of Northern Ireland. So the tide is turning. We completely understand, and we completely recognise exactly what that question is saying. It's something that we have been slowly turning the ship on. We're starting to see we're seeing the beginnings of those opportunities coming through, and we will continue to incentivize those opportunities across the projects that we support. I have to say we have 4 companies in North. So we have Mammoth Screen, we have Hat-Trick, we have Element, and we have 2 cities in Northern Ireland developing. We also then have other people like Out of Orbit with development stage. And we're doing a scheme with the BBC to develop comedy as well from within Northern Ireland. So there is a concerted effort to kind of address those script development and producing opportunities. I guess that's it. You will start to see. I hope you will start to see the benefits of that. Something that we have been addressing for a while now. But it just takes a long time for something like that without having that structure of a returnable, high volume returning series like sort of an EastEnders or sort of a kind of Doctors kind of thing, or Fair City. Without having that in the structure, you don't get those opportunities. So now we've started to get those opportunities. We're starting to bring those in. Hopefully, you will see the benefits of that.
Thank you very much, Andrew. So just some questions for Stuart. There's quite a bit of interest in the archive project that you mentioned, Stuart. And also, are there any specific funding support streams for first-time documentary making?
Well, as regards the archive project, we still are finalising the exact details of it, but so that we will be able to announce that later on in April. But for a bit of background, we're actually doing the project with the company I mentioned called Make Film History, who are like a research foundation based at Kingston University. It's like an academic research base. But their website is archivesforeducation.com. So that will give you a basic background to that organization. And then hopefully we are going to be using the digital film archive for basis of our footage. So you can check that out on their website, which is part of Northern Ireland Screen. I wouldn't say that we know exactly what we're going to be able to provide, but just to give you a basic background, I would definitely check those 2 websites. As regards funding for documentary making, that's not really our remit, unfortunately. I wish we could give out money, but that'd be more Andrew, I suppose.
Okay, Andrew, would you like, or sorry, Roisin, would you like to come in on that?
Mention actually something that might be of interest, and it's not us offering funding for short documentaries, but we will be hosting a session at Docs Ireland around like Meet the Short Doc Commissioners, where people who do commission short documentary will be presenting on how they fund, what they fund, and how to engage with them. So again, that will be announced in the programme in about a month's time.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. Andrew, would you like to come back on that?
Sure. So yeah, again, short film calls would be the principal way through. Now, we also run, or we take part in bridging the gap with the Scottish Documentary Institute, which is a really superb sort of profiling opportunity for the filmmakers that take part in that. So I really would encourage you, to have a look at that. As I said before, the short film calls are completely open to factual as well as fiction projects. And net workshops, we run a series of workshops around factual short films as well. So so take part in all of those. We have incredibly talented companies here in Northern Ireland that work in documentary. yeah, and they are very, very strong in finding new talent, nurturing new talent, and working with those people. I mean, you know, in particular, Michael Fanning deserves a mention here from below the radar, but also Rachel Hooper, Alison Miller, Ed Stobart. You know, they are all, and Trevor Burnett, they are all very good at finding and nurturing new talent. So you know, and that can either be either bringing people in to work in the companies, or just offering sort of executive producer advice on how to make a documentary really stand out. So I would encourage you to kind of engage with the existing sector that's there as well, because they are helpful. And then if you want to move, if you're moving from shorts to features, we have a call each year for feature documentary development. Now this year's call has just closed, unfortunately, but every year there's a call for feature documentary proposals, and a lot of those come from first-time feature filmmakers. Yeah. So those are the opportunities, and also feel free to drop us a line. We'll happily take you through that.
Thank you, Andrew. It is always good. I mean, just from my own experience in the past, always approaching some of the people you mentioned there that I would have spoken to. People who've made documentaries, have that track record, are often very open to ideas from other people as well. So thank you very much for that. So a question for Sarah and Hugh. Are there any programs, projects, or even competitions that would let independent filmmakers have the opportunity to produce films promoting history and tourism, as opposed, I suppose, to making more mainstream sort of broadcast films? And would you have anything in that area, in the area of history and tourism, Hugh or Sarah?
Well, to a certain extent, that is that a question maybe about making films?
I think so. Yes.
Okay, well,
yes.
that might be better. I mean, I suppose in terms of Andrew might be the best one to take that question. We really, we're the other end of it, post-production.
Okay. Andrew, do you want to step up again?
Not post-production,
Post-production.
Post-production? Well, I mean, it's all post-production. Let's not split hairs, Stuart.
Sorry, do you want me to give you the question again?
Well, yeah,
I suppose they're asking about
which bit would you like me to tackle on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I'm a lot of us make films that are not necessarily going to be on television or going to be shown to wide audiences, but maybe for specific audiences, like history and tourism. So I mean, maybe that's more of a client-based funding stream. But
this comes. Well, let me take the tourism one. This comes to us quite a bit. Tourism, it falls to the tourist board, to Tourism Ireland or Discover Ireland and so forth. Now we do work quite closely with them, but they have. What I would say is, if you have a specific tourism ask, then you should go and speak to the tourism authorities. If they think that if it fits within what they're trying to achieve in their marketing spend and so forth, then very often they will come to us and say, well, actually, it's useful for this, it's useful for that, and we do work on a number of projects a year, but really it has to come from the tourism strategy. Does it fit within what they are trying to achieve? In the history, I mean, if you can show us a route to audience for the project, we are more than happy to have a discussion about this. Every project is so different that it's difficult to sort of blanketly say, oh yes, we do this, or we wouldn't do that. So we are more than happy to have a discussion, especially because distribution channels are changing at such a rapid pace that if there's an opportunity, we very much like to hear about it. We can't guarantee that we're going to fund it, and we may not just may simply come down to having the money, but we're more than happy to have a conversation around it. But I would say if it's a tourism play, then you need to speak to the tourism authorities first, and then they would probably come to us and have a chat with them.
Thank you very much, Andrew. So a question, an appropriate question, hopefully about something that they know about, to Hugh and Sarah. We are a new charitable organisation and would like to give access to cinema and access to learning about creative industries in an area of disadvantage, but in the area of high filming activity near Strangford Lough, and would like to have access to help to get started. So Sarah or Hugh or Stuart, anybody who would like to answer that one?
Yeah, certainly from the Hub's perspective, we're always interested in chatting to people who would like to set up a new community cinema or have access to screenings. A good place to start is probably by the listening to the podcasts that I mentioned. A lot of it is to do with online work, but the theories and principles are the same in terms of programming for your audiences and marketing and all that sort of stuff. But contact us. I think Hugh dropped his email address in the written answer there, so do give us a shout. And I mean, we're willing to talk. The stuff that we can share knowledge about is programming, marketing, licensing, talking to distributors, access and inclusion for your venue, and sort of event management, and also surveying stuff. So yeah, definitely give us a shout.
I think it's worth somewhere like Killyleagh that doesn't necessarily have a history of cinema as well. There are some people like Portrush and Newcastle and people like that who've been through this process and set up a really viable working venue. So that's one of the good things about the Film Hub, is we are a network and people are willing to talk to each other and help.
Thank you very much, Hugh. That's great. So just a couple of questions. Also, a lot of questions coming in about entry into the industry, people with previous experience. I'm a photographer with 6 years experience running my own business. I am interested in working on productions in Belfast, but organisations ask for previous experience working on set. I have experience working as a studio manager in London, but no production credits. Are there any other production routes in? And another question, a question for all the panelists. I'm wondering what training development opportunities there are for people who no longer fall into the young person group. That would be me, really. We know when you see those things, it's only available to under 25. So it's like, I'm a writer interested in fiction and documentary work, but haven't made the leap into film. Don't really know the kind of network I need, but I'm also interested in developing my skill set to work across different jobs in the film sector. So anyone who would like to address that about sort of beginners and for entry with people who already have some experience as well.
I would just like to say that a lot of our industry program in June and in previous years, but specifically this coming June, is talent development. So if you just keep an eye on our website, we'll have the details and the information, but it'll be in the middle of June online. There'll be a number of kind of talent development workshops and panels that would definitely help with that. The other thing I would suggest would just be try to build a network. I know it's specifically hard in a COVID kind of era, but there's a number of kind of online groups on Facebook and others that you could maybe join up with and meet like-minded people, maybe people at the same level as you. And then the other thing I would suggest would just be make films, even if it's very low or small budget or very short films. That's how I learned, and that's how a lot of people I know learned, and that's the best way to do it, I think.
Yeah, I was just one of the online groups, the media therapy group on Facebook is really useful. For people, there's like 9,000 people or something on that, and just now is the time as well to identify people that you want to talk with and try and grab them for half an hour on Zoom. We're in this kind of position where people can't say, no, I'm busy all the time. And, I've had conversations with many people over the last while that maybe I wouldn't have had time to chat to, or have brought a different perspective on things. I thought, well, I'll ask Sarah for this because she's got time to answer this now. So I would identify people even if you want to work in any aspect of the film, but identify some key people that you would like to talk with and just grab them for half an hour and pick their brains and just try and start networks like that as well. Northern Ireland is a small place. You will probably find out that you're related to one of these people that you try and talk to. So start like that way, building your network. So hopefully whenever we emerge out of this, that you'll be bumping into people that you've met online. You know, you'll meet them at the opening night of the film festival next year or whatever it is. So you use this time productively, because there are ways to get at people even if we can't actually be out and about.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Also, I know we can't go to the do's, we can't go to the film festivals. It's really bad. So Facebook and social media and stuff like that is great. Just when everything starts up again, there's a great film festival in Belfast called Film Devourer, where people make their own films, and lots of actors who are looking to get experience as well will get involved in that. And that's in the last one of those I went to was in the Black Box, and it's fantastic because there's so many actors, filmmakers, camera people, editors who go to those films, people who are in the profession, who are just making stuff maybe for their own creativity as well. And so I think you should probably find out about that on Media Therapy Group as well.
Sorry, Rory, can I just jump in there?
Mm-hmm.
Just to say that if you go to our website, there's a list of members on our website. There's a huge range of smaller festivals and people who are doing things like that. You know, filmmakers who are just sort of getting together and screening, and creating that community. I mean, you know, we would argue that there are many ways to watch film. But the best way to watch film is in a room with other people, because what you do is you build a community and you build a network, and that's why it will survive and that's why it will thrive. You know.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Can I just say a few words? First and first, all of our training schemes in the sort of skills sector are for people who have left full-time education, if you like. So there's no age limit on that at all. So obviously, if there's anything within those skills programs that you're interested in, obviously you should apply to that. New Shorts Focus and the New Writer Focus are both open calls, and they're built to build a writer's room around the project. So that they're open calls. It's on the script. It's about the quality of the script. That's what the people are brought in on. So it's, you know, there's no requirement to have previous experience or anything at all. It is about the quality of the writing. So if you're a writer and you want to get in, those are two great routes in. Obviously, the short film calls as well, if you want to put in for individual awards and so forth. The net workshops, again, being run online at the moment, so great. So if you sign up for those, you get to meet like-minded individuals. They are streamed into animation, live action, factual, and fiction. So again, you can find sort of like-minded individuals within those areas. There are opportunities there if you want to try, but you know, certainly the older person trying to get in, I mean, it is an uphill struggle. I completely understand it, and it must be very, very daunting. But you know, there is, you know, if you have great ideas, we absolutely want to hear from you. There is no ethnic or socio-economic group or age group that has the monopoly on great ideas. So and the industry needs you. If you have great ideas and you're amazingly talented, we absolutely want to know who you are.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Just some advice for actors. What's your advice for actors who are near their 30s but haven't been involved with Cinemagic before? Where are the best spots to get casting information for Northern Ireland Screen funded projects? And is there anyone in particular we could follow?
Yeah, yes, it's a bit more difficult, and I completely understand that. The route really is one of agents. I mean, that there is a reason for kind of the agent structure. And it's around protecting the individuals and so forth. you should absolutely look at the film calls, and if you have a representative, you should be pointing. We have quite a number of people who are actors who follow the crew calls that are up on Northern Screen's website, and then nudge their producer to say, or nudge their agent to say, oh, why am I not getting called for this, or why am I not getting called for that? But the other person to if you like to follow is Carla Strong, who and Georgia Simpson. They're two just superb casting directors from who are resident within Northern Ireland, but work on projects nationally and internationally. And if there's anybody who's in the know and can give you some advice on casting, it is both Georgia and Carla are the two people.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Are there any specific funding streams for first-time documentary making? If anyone would like to answer that, if knows any schemes.
Specific funding schemes for short film for first-time documentary.
First-time documentary.
I mean, Bridging the Gap is open to first-time documentaries. And our short film calls, again, completely open. I mean, there was no. Well, I suppose actually I'm lying there, because you do have to have made some short films before. But if it's about sort of the first funded short film that you do, or the first sort of larger project that you do, then our short film calls are open to that. That would be those would be the ones. I'm trying to think if there's something nationally that would be open. Should have a look at the Doc Society website. So they've been tasked by the BFI to deliver their documentary strategy, and they may well have some advice on that as well. But Doc Society, so that you would go and speak to on a national level.
Thank you very much. We have a few minutes left, so get your questions in. Andrew, you mentioned something about an upcoming programme for BBC Northern Ireland Comedy. Can you elaborate on this at all?
Yeah, so BBC Northern Ireland and BBC Network Comedy approached us to do a joint development scheme. So they have they have their sort of, if you like, preferred suppliers. So there are BBC Studios, Out of Orbit, Hat Trick, and Merman are the companies that they want to work with, and they have tasked those companies to go out and find comedy talent from within Northern Ireland and develop up those projects with them.
Thank you very much. That's great. Also, I suppose there's BBC Writers' Room, which also has a lot of schemes, and I know a few people who have got opportunities through that. A lot of questions about just getting in, first time on credits. I think you're answering that one from Stephen. Are you, Andrew? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So if any more questions, please put them in the Q&A taskbar, and we can answer them for you. Yeah, Paula is going to answer that question about first on. I suppose, really, I mean, the situation is that film is a very social industry, as Sarah says, and whilst we're online, I suppose we just need to build those networks online as well.
Can I just add something there, Roy?
Okay, yeah.
Right. So yes, we do run. If you keep an eye out for our new entrant training scheme. So we train 36 people a year in what we call I now regret calling this, because I'm now saying it in public and it's coming out of my mouth, but set etiquette. So how to behave on set, first aid, health and safety, and personal safety. So it's a 3-day program that runs, that you end up with a first aid qualification and a health and safety qualification. Plus, then we bring in, it's run by a first AD to explain what you can expect from being on set and what's expected of you from being on set. And so keep an eye out for that. No previous experience required at all. What happens if you then complete those 3 days? We will then get you a day's work experience on one of our funded productions. It's usually run on a first come, first serve basis. We normally have a sort of a diversity target where 1/3 of those spaces are kind of reserved for a particular group that we're trying to encourage to come into the industry. But keep an eye out for that, because that is truly open. That is absolutely no requirement for previous experience at all. You just have to come, as long as you turn up, as long as you pass your first aid and your health and safety tests, then we will do our best. And it has been immensely successful. Some very, it's been successful both ways. Some people who really wanted to get some experience on set have turned up and realized that standing out in the cold and the rain and drinking lukewarm tea out of not particularly nice paper cups is not particularly great, and have chosen not to pursue it any further. And some people have turned up and just loved every moment of it and gone on. So we have a number of people in the assistant director department who are going from strength to strength, who've entered in as trainee, they've then applied as trainees in their schemes and gone into the industry, or met good people in the departments. It's a great way of having a chat with everybody and getting a sense of which department you actually think you might like to work in. The other thing I would say is sign up for the extra department, sign up to be an extra. We have lots and lots of productions that require lots and lots of extra all the time, but it's a really good way of getting a sense of whether or not the antisocial working hours and sort of long hours and conditions are suited you. And it's genuinely not suited to everybody. Not everybody enjoys their time on set. So it's a great way of going in and getting a sense of how it works, and also meeting crew and having a chat and seeing which department does what. So a lot of people have a very fixed view about what they want to do, but then they go on set and they meet, they see other departments, they just experience something that they haven't experienced before, be it technical, or be it craft, or be it more production related, and it shapes up their viewpoint. And so I would encourage people to where possible, to sign up to be an extra and get some experience on set and get paid for it as well. There you go.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Yeah, always important to get paid for these things. It's a very important thing. Does anyone else have any other advice for people who are entering for the first time and really don't know where to go in terms of entering the industry?
Could I just add something about your first documentary film? I think it's such an accessible way. You don't need a huge production budget to make a documentary film, so you really can just get out there and make it. And I know that I'm quite sure Stuart programs short documentaries that aren't funded, officially by a state agency. It's DIY is where it's at, and it's a great way to do it through documentary, because you don't need a huge crew. As long as you've got a great story, that's really the fundamental thing.
Yes, absolutely. So I just have one quick thing to do, and I actually think that the smaller the crew, quite often the more personal the film is, and that's very often my favorite type of film is a very personal one. So I love to program these kind of non-funded ones, and we think it's our kind of remit and our duty to do so. But go ahead, Andrew.
No, I was just going to say also that when you have even a partly completed film, but getting it seen by Stuart and getting some sort of profile, the number of times that sort of production companies react and say, oh, who made X or who made Y, or so even if it's the idea that it's got to be polished perfection, it really isn't true. What it has to be, what it has to show and demonstrate is your ability to spot, develop, and tell a good story. And as I said before, that getting sort of ideas are the lifeblood of our industry. And production companies, it's in Northern Ireland and across the world, know that they have to be on the lookout for new talent, and they have to bring it in and develop it. And that is your best way in is to have a go and put that put it in front of people who do this day in and day out, and they may well not want to take your next film, but they may well say, look, you're a great person, we really want to work with you. So actually we need a researcher on this project. We need to do a bit of development on this project. Will you come and work with us? And really, you have to see that as their way of checking you out. Because when you're pitching, Rory, I'm going to enlist your help on this demonstration, if that's okay. This has not been set up before, guys. So when you're working when you're pitching to somebody, or in any level, be that to work in a company, or to get somebody to work on a film with you, or anything like that, it's about relationships. It's about building those relationships. And if you've met somebody, so Rory and I have never met before. I mean, we genuinely have not. I don't think we've met before, have we, Rory?
No,
we haven't. Genuinely have not met before. And if I said, so Rory, we bit of a camaraderie, we seem to be getting on okay. So how do you fancy getting married and adopting kids? That's a kind of big step for that first meeting, isn't it? It's really kind of, and Rory, understandably, is, I assume, deeply flattered. I'm just going to take that as read, if that's okay. Let's not get into that whole thing. But at the same time, he's a little bit on the back foot, because he's thinking, do I really want to hitch my wagon to Reid's insanity for the rest of my life, or at least for a significant portion of my life? Whereas the more natural thing to be, and again, I genuinely like to point out that this is purely for the purposes of demonstration. I'm not hitting on Rory on a regular basis. I'd like to stress that now. Please stop me if this is getting uncomfortable. But Rory, we seem to be getting on okay. Would you like to go for coffee sometime?
Is there any money in it, Andrew? Is there any money in it?
Well,
you're the
Rory,
man with the money.
We have that sort of relationship. we could work on it. But it's that, asking somebody out for a cup of coffee is and it's easier for somebody to go, oh, okay, all right, okay. It's a small commitment. It's not a huge commitment. And I would urge anybody who's trying to get into to think of it in those terms. What is it? What if I'm meeting somebody for the first time? What is a small, reasonable commitment that I can ask and follow up on and develop a relationship, rather than, because people tend to come in full tilt and with a 300-page script from the first meeting, go, let's make this together, and the producer is going to think, my God, that is a 3-year commitment of my life, and if we actually make the film, this person is going to be in my life forever because of contractual relationships. I want to sound out what they're like. So if they don't seem excited about working with you on a film, but say, actually, you know what, well, we have this opportunity, that's them sounding out. That's a good thing. They are sounding you out, and take those opportunities when they're presented. Don't just throw up the head and go, oh, well, if you're not making my first feature, I'm quit. It's about building relationships and building that up and getting to the point where you can mutually trust and respect each other, so that you can go on very much like marriage, I would say.
There we go. It's all about relationships. Definitely with Andrew anyway. So
absolutely,
thank you very
Rory,
much.
you and I can pick this up later, okay?
Yes, definitely. Whenever we can travel again, that would be great. Thank you very much, everybody. We're approaching the end of our time. We are very grateful to Northern Ireland Screen. The Nerve Centre's Spring into the Creative Industries Month is supported by the Department of Communities and Northern Ireland Screen, and we are very, very grateful for their support. Paula will be emailing out a recording of this entire webinar. So if there's anything you want to go back on, just look at, check out email addresses, check out things that are in the presentations.